They are the recipients of a $1,500 college scholarship for having won the quarterfinal contest and will receive an additional $1,500 for participating in the semifinal contest. They are also receiving a silver medal and certificate of participation. Our sixth semifinalists from the Department of California, Kate Park of Los Altos, a junior at the Menlo School.
Title of her oration, The People's Voice.
An empty chair. The Nobel Peace Prize is announced. No one stands to receive the prize. No voice expresses joy. The audience is silent. All eyes turn to that empty chair. The Nobel laureate who should be sitting in that chair instead sits halfway across the world in a Chinese prison. That man is named Liu Xiaobo, known as human rights hero to the world, but a criminal to the Chinese Communist Party. In 2008, he wrote a charter, a manifesto that declared the freedom of expression, human rights, and a stronger democracy. But 2 days after the release of this charter, Liu Xiaobo was arrested and sentenced to prison for 11 years. To this day, while I stand here before you, he remains in prison, silenced. In nations such as China, people are forbidden to voice their opinions, to publish articles, to assemble and to petition, and to speak up. But we, Americans, were given these important freedoms, these fundamental rights in the United States Constitution. Our Constitution was written by our founding fathers to establish a federal government, delegate its powers, most importantly, to protect our rights. Now, the Bill of Rights was not always part of the original Constitution. In fact, when our founding fathers met at the Philadelphia State House, they had one goal in mind: to frame a new government. But in the process, a national debate began. America was divided into two parties. On one side, we had the Federalists, or those who supported the original Constitution. And on the other side, we had the Anti-Federalists, those who opposed the original Constitution. The Anti-Federalists' biggest objection was a lack of Bill of Rights. So in the American spirit, both sides were heard, and the Constitution was ratified on the condition that a Bill of Rights would be added. 1791, Congress fulfilled their promises and composed what we know as today the Bill of Rights, or the first 10 amendments to our Constitution. 8 out of the 10 amendments forbid the government from infringing certain fundamental rights. Rights such as our Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, or the Fourth Amendment, protection against unreasonable search and seizure, or the Seventh Amendment, the right to a jury trial. But today, let's focus on that First Amendment. The First Amendment proclaims Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Freedom of speech and press. This freedom ensures that ideas can be exchanged even if those ideas are unpopular. Freedom of speech includes not only spoken word, but art, photographs, advertisement. The right to petition and assemble. Assembly, organizations, give the people a voice. When more than one person comes together, when we come to a consensus, the view we advocate becomes so much stronger, so that when we speak together, others will listen. Our First Amendment protects not only the speaker, but the listener. We not only have the right to write and speak, we have the right to read, hear, and see opinions. That right to be heard and that right to hear, that's revolutionary. Now we know America is based on the system that majority rules. For example, in Congress, a majority will pass a bill into law. The majority of Supreme Court justices renders a verdict, and the majority of our electoral college elects our next president. This is the system we believe is most just and democratic. However, any system based on the majority is subject to tyranny of majority. Tyranny of majority is when the majority puts its own opinions so far forward that the minority is oppressed. 19th century French political thinker de Tocqueville saw America's democratic institutions. He observed our majority-based systems and he marveled because he found, quote, the liberties of the people would not be restricted even if an oppressive law were passed. He found that America lacked the most perfect instruments of tyranny. De Tocqueville meant that although we're based on the majority system, there's something that keeps America from falling into that tyranny. That something is the United States Constitution. For the past 200 years, America's republic and democracy has survived. It's improved, it's succeeded. And one of the ways it has done so is because the people have taken their Constitution. They've taken their First Amendment rights in hand and spoken up when the minority is oppressed. History bears proof on this. In the 1910s, women protested for the right to vote. In the 1960s, abolitionists called for an end to segregation. We've spoken up. To keep America flourishing, we, as citizens of the United States of America, must fulfill our obligations. We have the obligation of expressing ourselves when we see something wrong. We can write a letter to our local newspaper editor. We can join an organization advocating something we believe in. And we can speak up. When there's something to change, we need to change it. That's the American spirit. Our government doesn't censor our opinions. It doesn't throw us in jail for speaking. Rather, it protects our rights to speak, write, assemble, and petition. So let us speak, write, assemble, and petition. Who shall go would, if he could, but he can't. And since we can, and since we have the opportunity, so many others don't, let us take this opportunity to speak up. In the oath of allegiance taken by those who wish to become citizens of the United States, we pledge to perform work of national importance. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking up, that's a matter of national importance. We owe it to ourselves to join an organization, to advocate something we value. We owe it to others to use the press and give a voice to the voiceless. And we owe it to the nation to speak up for America's greater good. Thank you.